2023. Number 2 is we need to get revelation so that we can watch the game before it happens. Now, the illustration I want to give here is, I remember I'm a retired Man U fan, but years ago, I remember we were playing Arsenal, and Arsenal was one team that I always feared, because I always feared that they could give us 5-0 because of the way they played, and Man U didn't have a specific system that they used to use, so I was always scared. So we're playing them on this day. I think it was on Mayo's birthday or my birthday, I'm not sure, but it was at the house, and so we're watching, and I was nervous, and Man U scored 1, 2, 3. Arsenal scored 1. I started getting nervous again, because I'm like, these guys can come back. Like, the way they play, they can come back. And then at the end of the day, it ended up being 8-2. I'm sure a lot of you can remember that game. You know, I hate to say it, but I'm sure you can't remember. but so, like, and it was crazy, because like 2 or 3 years later, they played that game again. Like, I watched the replay, and I wasn't scared. Like, when Arsenal scored and we're trying to come back, I knew how the game already ended, so I wasn't even bothered. I knew that this game was going to end 8-2, so whatever was happening within the game wasn't making me nervous or anxious anymore. And it's the same way with us as Christians. We already know how this script ends. We already know how this story ends. When this whole thing happened with the protests, the image that came to my mind was Israel leaving Egypt. And as soon as, like, someone just told me, go and read that story again, and everything, there are a lot of similarities in our story and their story. And guess what? The way it ended then is the same way it's going to end now. So it's kind of like I'm watching the game again. So I'm not as anxious, as nervous as I would have been if I didn't know how this story already kind of ends. When people were saying Buhari should come and give a speech, I'm like, no, now don't let him talk, because I want us to still be angry, and I want us to still feel this pain, and I want his heart to be hardened, because Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and God needed his heart to be hardened in order for the children of Israel to be delivered. So right now, whatever Buhari is doing, he's not going to do the right thing. Trust me, he's not going to say the right. I don't want him to say the right thing. I want his heart to keep on being hardened, so that God's glory can be displayed. Sorry.
It's not today that you need something that God will start scampering around trying to find what you need and stuff. And I mean, like he said, the story of the Israelites' Exodus is the perfect example for all of this. And one thing that I actually saw when I was rereading this story was the fact that even before Moses had gone to the Israelites, God told him that, you know what, Pharaoh doesn't, you know what, let me read it. Here is from the horse's mouth. Exodus chapter. Genesis is too long, man. Okay, yes. Exodus chapter 4, verse 23. Okay, no, let me just read 22 to 23. Then say to Pharaoh, this is what the Lord says. Israel is my firstborn, and I told you, let my son go so he may worship me. But you refused to let him go, so I will kill your firstborn. Now, this is before Moses even went to the Israelites. So this plague came, Pharaoh was being stubborn, intensified depression on the Israelites. Another plague will come, he will tell Moses, okay, sorry, I will let them go. But once Moses takes the plague away, he will be hardened again, change his mind again, and all the plagues kept coming, and then the final one was the death of the firstborn sons. So as in God already knew all those Pharaoh being funny, it didn't take God by surprise, because he knew what the end was going to be. And for us Christians, I feel like in this season and even before now, we've received so many prophecies. That is God already telling us how this thing is going to end. There's so many prophecies that have come out in this season. They are not for decoration. They are not for us to listen to once and then just move on and go back to the status quo. No, they're words of encouragement, words of hope for us to hold on to, because that is what God is telling us he's going to do in this season.